am Karen Shan, co-associate editor of Sanctuary magazine. Sanctuary is a fabulous online publication, and it's where women can learn about themselves and their world, and also experience creative vision and improve their overall health. And today we are talking with Sanctuary's amazing, fabulous executive editor, Myrna Haskell. Myrna founded Sanctuary in May 2016, and before that she worked in various capacities in publishing. And this month, Sanctuary celebrates its 6th anniversary. How exciting is that? So why don't we go ahead and jump in and talk with Myrna a little bit and get to know her a little better, how she got involved in Sanctuary, why she decided to publish it. And then we can talk about your proudest accomplishment, which I wonder if this may be one of them.
Yes, it is. But you know what, Karen, before I jump into that, I just wanted to, I know I already interviewed you and I'm in the hot seat now. It feels really weird for me, I have to tell you. But anyway, how did we meet, Karen? I didn't want you, I wanted you to tell the readers and listeners again. How did we meet?
We met over LinkedIn of all places.
I know, right?
Yes, and it was a great connection. It's so funny because sometimes really genuine personal connections can stem from an online meeting, you know, an online encounter. And that's what happened with us. And we, of course, formed an immediate connection and met up. And gosh, I can't tell you how fortunate I feel to be part of Sanctuary's team and working with just a fabulous group of women on this wonderful publication. And so here we are.
I love working with you folks. I mean, our team is top notch and awesome, if I must say so myself. But anyway, Karen, I just wanted to remind people how we met, but I'll answer your question. I'm sorry. I have to remember I'm the interviewee, right? So I think your question was what some accomplishments I'm proud of. So you're right. I'm going to talk about Sanctuary first, because actually Sanctuary is, I think, my most proud accomplishment when it comes to the publishing industry. I had always wanted to work on something of my own. So all those years, Karen, you know, there were about 30 of them. You know, I worked for some other fabulous publishers and editors. I had really good relationships with many of them. It's not that I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed it very, very much. But I had always thought of, you know, starting a publication that I was more in control of the tone and, you know, where the publication was going, its future, you know, the general overall content instead of just my small pieces or my small section. And, you know, I started the magazine in 2016 with 2 other women, Nancy Berger and Emily Jody, who have moved on to other things. But I think at that time when we started it, it wasn't even quite a magazine at that time. You know, we were just putting some content out online and seeing if it would stick and if people liked what we were doing and the fact that we wanted to support women, particularly women in the arts and women humanitarians. And then from there, we sort of started to grow it into the health and wellness. And now, to what it's grown into at this point, I mean, we just have so many sections. We have our interactive section where our readers write in with topics and questions for experts and all of that. And we have our new culture crawl section this year and our new smart step section this year. And we just keep growing and our team is growing. And I won't mention her name quite yet, but Karen actually found us a new writer too. So we have a new team member coming up soon that we'll let you know about. And I think the beauty of it is that everybody is sort of lockstep in what we're trying to do. And so Karen, she's one of my co-associate editors. So I also have Carol Lippert Gray. Those 2 ladies, you know, find me these fabulous interviews and they, you know, look around for great content for Sanctuary, and that blend of there being all different ideas coming from different people, which we didn't have as much in the beginning. And now that our team has grown, we have that. I just love what it's, you know, what it's grown into. And I love the fact that we have people from like England and Australia that when we announced we were our 6th anniversary said that they felt like they knew us. And some of them were saying, hi, ladies, you're doing such a great job. And, you know, that's what we are. We're a community. We're not just a magazine, right? And so I am so proud of that, Karen. And
you should be.
And I'm so proud of all of you who work with me. And our sponsors are these phenomenal women and movers and shakers, you know, and the people and the features we've had, the wonderful women we've had in the magazine are amazing. And it's really just grown into this wonderful space that readers can go to and know that they're going to find all this, you know, really inspirational, educational, fabulous content. You know, we love to say content is queen. So that's number one. I can go on and on about Sanctuary.
Yes, well, it's very true. I mean, yes, and we do. You know, it's important. I think one of the reasons that it has grown is because of the scope of what people can find here. We're talking, you know, arts and creative ventures, along with career advice and nutrition, overall wellness, inspiration, people who are really talented and moving forward, financial advice. It really covers quite the gamut. And I think that that's a big part of why people
it does. And we're a small team, but we all wear a lot of hats, right? So we're really chugging along here. I mean,
we definitely are.
We're hard workers, all of us, you know, and that's what it takes to keep up the quality of the content month after month after month, right? It's that end of the month is a little scary, but that's okay.
Part of the fun.
But anyway, I'll talk about one other accomplishment that I was really proud of, and that was my self-syndicated column, Lions and Tigers and Teens, which was actually made into a book. I had a couple of extra columns that had never been published before that went into the book, but the column was running in close to 30 magazines at one time. And it was so much fun because my kids were teenagers at the time. And so I was just writing about all of these different issues that come up for parents of teens when they're raising teens. And, you know, I interviewed so many different, you know, PhDs and therapists and, you know, teen experts along the way. And the funny thing is that's where that ties into Sanctuary, because I didn't realize at the time this huge network of people that I was growing, you know, that I was able to go back to afterwards. And some of them who were experts for my Lions and Tigers and Teens syndicated column have been experts for different pieces we've done in Sanctuary. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, so I don't know if a lot of people know about that, but I had that column in the book that went out too. And that was really fun. And that ran from 2009 to I think maybe 16, somewhere in there. But anyway, so that was a big part of my life for a while too. But anyway, so that's that.
Okay, that sounds great. Let's speaking about going back a little bit, what is your earliest memory? What's something that happened early on that maybe shaped you or really left an impression?
Yeah, well, I actually have a very early memory. I was a little past 3. I might have been, I talked to my mom about this because I told her about this years later. I think I was somewhere between 3 and 3.5. And I was at my mom's parents' house, so my maternal grandparents' house. And I have several memories of my grandfather who was gone when I was 3.5, actually. So he actually passed away a few months after this memory. But I have several memories of him. I sort of remember his uniform. He worked in a factory, and I remember this greenish uniform that he had. I remember I used to sit in his lap in his favorite chair in the front room. I definitely can totally picture that. I can picture actually the pocket that he had with the symbol over it. But the memory that kind of bothered me, even as a young child, was I was standing in the dining room looking into the kitchen, and it was like a regular sort of like doorway, you know, that I was looking through. And my grandfather was sitting there sipping soup. And I just remember staring, and I was holding something. I don't remember what I was holding. I was staring because I remember he was eating the soup and sipping the soup and eating it like really slowly. It bothered. I'm thinking, why is he eating the soup so slowly? In my little mind, right? And so when I talked to my mother about this way beyond that, I might have been a teenager when I was talking to her about it, actually, years later.
Right.
She couldn't believe the amount of detail, because she said that was
Yes.
when I described the seat with the basement door behind. I said there was this door. She said that's the basement door. And she said that was all he was able to hold down, was like clear broth at that point. And I, of course, didn't know he was dying, but I knew something was wrong, at that
Right.
young age. So anyway, but he's my guardian angel now. I know my grandfather is there and has saved my butt on numerous occasions.
Can you feel him? Do you talk with him?
Sometimes I can feel him. Yeah, for sure. For absolutely sure. He died young. He was only, I think he was 52. And, my mom was still in her 20s. She had my brother, and I were almost Irish twins. She had my brother when she was like 22, and she had me when I was 23. My parents got married right after my dad graduated from college. So, she was a very young woman, with young kids, and she was very close to him. It was really hard. And then my grandmother, of course, had to raise my, uncle, who was a lot younger than my mother, on her own. And my grandmother lasted a lot longer, fortunately. I had my grandma actually, I'm trying to remember the year now when she passed. I think it was 98. I think it was 98. And so she was able to meet both of my children, because my kids were born in 94 and 96. So that was really nice. So I have a lot of these wonderful pictures with her. She was a big camera buff, my grandmother. And then I have my other two grandparents. I don't want to leave them out. My dad's parents were awesome too. But this early memory was at my mother's parents' house. And she just could not get over the detail I remembered from it. That's kind of uncanny, right?
I absolutely think so. It's clear that you had some kind of a bond with him, and a continuing one, which is exciting.
Because it's not like I have all of these other memories at 4 and 5 even, you know what I mean? It's like spotty all the way through, even like
Right.
elementary school, how much we remember, right? But I think it was a combination of how close I was with him, and then also the fact that in my little brain, I was sensing something wasn't right. Do you know what I mean? So,
I do.
but anyway.
I do. And it's something that you thought about often. Sometimes that cements the memory in your mind also.
Yeah, I know. It's strange, but kids, I was talking about doing the column with teens and stuff, but kids at every age, even young children, they pick up on so much that's going on with us. You know what I mean? That close bond between children and their parents, and children and their grandparents, there's nothing like it. And I think that even when a young child can't quite understand, they do understand in a certain way and on a deep level. You know what I mean?
I do. And I agree with you. Absolutely. Okay. So I have another question for you. If you had, let's just say, a free Saturday afternoon, imagine that, Myrna.
I can't really imagine that, but I'm going to imagine that.
Are you a shopper or a binge watcher, or
No, I do binge watch though. I will say that, not on a lazy Saturday afternoon, but like late at night when I can't sleep. I know a lot of you out there are doing that too. Just saying. Okay, so I will cop to binge watching a couple of things more recently with my husband late at night, and that is the Peaky Blinders, and also Ozark on Netflix. But if I really want to think about what I would want to spend a lot of time with over and over again, I have two old-time comedies that I absolutely love that I can still watch and be in stitches and pee my pants watching them over and over again. And that's the I Love Lucy shows and All in the Family. Both of those shows were ahead of their time, right? But I mean, they were just hysterical. I mean, you're still in stitches to this day. If you can watch something over and over and over again, like the candy, like with I Love Lucy, the candy one, right? I mean, right? And I love the fact that they were switching the roles, that the guys were all big and bad. They thought it was going to be so easy, doing the home stuff and the cooking and the cleaning and all of that.
Definitely.
And wasn't that the same one? You know, I Love Lucy, right? Everybody does. Was
course,
that the same
of
one where they overcooked the rice and the rice was boiled?
Oh, I think that was another one.
Oh, that was another one. Okay.
That show
They
was
were so funny though.
very
I just,
funny.
I can definitely watch those over and over again. All the Family, I used to see reruns, but I don't know. You know what, listeners, you can send us a note because I'm not sure if or where All in the Family is having reruns at this point,
know.
or if they are right now, or if it's on some
Right.
strange channel. Do you?
I don't know.
But I just loved those characters. I mean, Edith and then Meathead and Archie with his chair. You know, it just it's just that those are great. So yeah. So I don't often have a lot of time, but I love the movies. I love, you know, I love the editing, the sound. Like you can watch like a scary, like psychological thriller, and you realize if you like turn the sound off, it's not near as scary, right? Like just that, I love watching how they edit and how they work the music and the sound and even the, you know, what they focus on in the foreground versus the background. And I pick up on all that little stuff. It fascinates me. And I'll rewind and, you know, look again. And so I love film. I love, I love plays. I love going to Broadway. I haven't since COVID. I know they're open again, but I haven't. I think you still have to wear a mask, right? I'm a little claustrophobic, so I'm not sure. I may wait till that's a little bit more of a free thing over on Broadway, but I've seen a lot of Broadway plays and I love that too. So yeah, so there's I'm moving on to other questions, I think. I know a lot of us though picked the early memory, and just so folks know, we're picking from a pool of questions. And so some of us are picking the same questions, but anyway, so I'm binging occasionally late at night, just so y'all know.
It seems to me that there's two things. One is just some levity, which is nice to have levity in your day, especially at nighttime too. Yeah. And also, I think, especially your interest in how these are all put together and edited, it's just another way of seeing things, and that's always fun to take a different view at something that maybe you've looked at the same way over and over again, and just get that different perspective.
Yeah,
so I love that. Yeah.
And the best stuff you can watch over and over again and see new things or laugh just as hard or whatever it is.
Exactly.
You know? We all have those movies that we can watch, you know, 6 to 12 times or whatever it is, because they're just so wonderful. So yeah. So anyway.
Okay, so this time we're going back even further.
Mm-hmm.
Back further to possibly your previous life. What was your profession?
I think I was a medium.
You do. That is
okay. So like if my family is watching this, particularly my niece Chase, yeah, I definitely am in tune with a sixth sort of sense, or whatever you want to call it, you know. And I've had some things that have happened to me over the course of the years that are actually a little bit like, you know, the hair stands up on you because you can't believe like that happened, you know. And because I'm so sort of tuned in to that kind of a thing, that's the first thing I thought of. I thought that there I am with my ball. And I have the people come in, 4 cards, and I know how to talk to them. And you know what the funny thing is? The way sometimes they write about it and project about this sort of sixth sense is a little different than how I've experienced it. It's not really like one of these things you can conjure, right? So when I've had some of these things happen to me, they happen out of the blue. I'm not thinking about it. I don't expect them to happen. Oh, I have to tell you just one thing. I'll tell you the one thing that happened. This is just one of a gazillion things. I hadn't talked to this woman who actually wasn't a very close friend of mine, but I knew her through the schools, and she had moved away, and it had been like a couple of years. And, but this was years ago. So this was when my children were really young. And I picked up the woman and I said, "Hi, Liz." And she said, "Oh my God, you got caller ID." And I was like, oops, no, I didn't get caller ID. I just didn't think I didn't think it was Liz. I just answered and knew it was Liz. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I have
do.
that. I have stuff that happens to me like that all of the time.
That's pretty
So
cool.
I think that maybe back in the day I was helping other people. I know I'm laughing about it, but I think you can help people through some of this. I think part of it is being able to read what others feel, being able to open your mind and your heart to things that aren't obvious, you know. Maybe part of it is having a creative mind too, you know. I definitely feel very connected to my kids. I kind of know when something's going on with my kids or when my kids are going to call. I know a lot of moms say that too. So I think that if you are open to experiencing something that maybe isn't, you know, in the science manuals and stuff, and it's unexplainable, but if you're open to saying, okay, that happened and it's okay that it happened, and you know, that's kind of how it is for me. So yeah, or maybe I was a nurse. I could have been a nurse too. But when I first saw the question, I landed on medium. So I said that.
Well,
I like to
Myrna,
take care of people, so.
yes, actually, you are still helping people, just in a through a different, well, medium, you know?
Yes. I love it. Yes.
What you've done is built on that, because you've created this online magazine, and now there's a team of people who are working with you and helping other people. So it's just, to me, it's an extension of where you came from. So,
and I think we're very connected too. And I'm not trying to suggest that we're all reading each other's minds or anything, but I think that the way, especially the few of us that are really working the magazine monthly, that aren't occasional writers, I just feel that we do have this sort of, we kind of know, you know, how the other person is going to react to a certain subject. You know, sometimes we come up with the same subjects at the same time, right? That's happened, things like that. So yeah, so it's kind of cool, but I like feeling that connection. I like being connected with people on a deep level, and yeah, so that's that.
Fantastic.
Well, the listeners are really learning about me tonight, so.
Well, that's the point. It's team talk.
That's the point. That's the point, right? We wanted to do this.
It is.
Yeah, yes, we wanted to do this to let others know more about us, right? We're always asking our readers to, you know, send us questions, send us a kindness and karma prompt, send us, you know, whatever it is. And so we thought we'd give back by letting our listeners know a little bit more about us. So this is great. This is fun, actually.
It is fun. And relationships are two ways. So this is how we build on them.
Yes.
Anyway, so maybe you want to talk a little bit about what's coming up next for Sanctuary.
Oh, sure. So, and you of course know about all this, Karen. So if you want to jump in at any point, you know, please do. But we have 2 special issues coming up. So in June, for the Father's Day issue, we are celebrating the men in our lives. I believe it's the 6th. I think it's the 6th annual. We're really getting up there on some of these special issues that have become popular, but we have several. We actually have 5 astounding male artists that are going to be featured, and lots of other incredible content. It's going to be another huge issue, like our Celebrating Autism Awareness and Acceptance was in April. It's a big issue. And then in August, I think almost all of our listeners and readers know about our Focus on Youth issue. That is, I think, almost, I want to say, if it's not the most popular issue, it's definitely one of the most popular issues. This is where we celebrate gifted emerging artists and young women who are making a difference in their communities. Either they founded a nonprofit, or they've worked as a humanitarian overseas, or they're running their own business and they're an entrepreneur giving back to their community in that way. And so it's just a joy working with the young women. And I want to let everybody know that our former intern, Jillian Cressetta, will actually be an assistant editor on that issue with me this year, which is great. Jillian is now working down in New York City, but she's still writing for us occasionally. And I really wanted that sort of young mindset, you know, going on for all the extra content pieces and stuff. And she has such great ideas, and she's very creative. And so I'm really looking forward to continuing to work with her on that issue. So those are 2 issues coming up, but, you know, we're constantly looking for new ideas ideas and new people to interview. And there's just so many women out there that are doing amazing things in the arts and, you know, in all parts of the humanities and health and wellness and all of that. And so certainly we don't have a hard time finding those people at this point. You know, I've been throwing people into the 2023 calendar because, you know, there's only so many of us that can write the articles. So, you know, we have to see what we can do for 2023 in some instances. But anyway, so those are two special issues that are coming up. But if you want to talk about anything that you're doing that you want the listeners to know about, Karen, or anything else about the magazine till the end of the year that I might have forgotten to mention, any big thing? I'm trying to think. I'm all still 6th anniversary this month, you know. I can't believe we're 6 years. This is wonderful, right?
It's such a nice milestone. It really is. And you're right. The issue that's dedicated to the men and the youth one are both, they're just spot on, and they bring in people who are important to all of us. And it's nice to shine a light on them also. As for me, I just did a piece on Sparrow's Nest, which you all may have seen. Krista Jones, who heads that organization, and they do wonderful work.
That was a wonderful interview, Karen. That was wonderful. I knew about the organization, but didn't know the kind of detail that you got into with her. So that was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really goes to show where you know, an idea can spark into something that's really significant and makes a difference in people's lives, in our communities, and how they live. And it matters, you know, it matters. So if you haven't seen that, read it, then have a look. So, Krista and her team are wonderful people, like all the people that we showcase in the magazine.
Yeah, and just before we sign off, Karen, I'll just remind people about navigation too. We do run Sanctuary like an old-fashioned, you know, monthly magazine. So you will see a bunch of new content on the 1st of every month. That's when the new issue is out. But we do have new stuff that comes out mid-month, and one of those things are our hot topics, team talk, and coffee and conversation interviews. And once in a while, we'll have a guest article that pops up. But you know, you can look through old material by just navigating through that navigation bar. And so our open book, our featured interviews, blank canvas, of course, is where all of the arts are. Body and spirit is all of the health and wellness stuff. And then we have that large guest room section where we get reader input and readers can respond and learn about giveaways and all that kind of stuff. So that's our special guest room section for our readers. So if you want to see, you know, old celebrating the men in our lives issues and older focus on youth issues, you can go under the drop down for blank canvas. And so, you know, if you go to our homepage right now, what you will see is the May issue, but use that navigation bar to get to older material, because we really do have just a wealth of interviews and articles in the magazine that touch upon all kinds of subjects. So please feel free to explore.
Yes, and you can sign up for our newsletter through our website also. So
that's right. And all of our content is free, and our newsletter is free, thanks to our sponsors and our generous supporters. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
So you get to sign off, Karen, because I'm not harsh.
This was a lot of fun, Myrna. Thank you so much for talking with us today and sharing your story with our listeners. And thank you to all our listeners and our readers. We appreciate your interest and all of your input, and hope to continue working, seeing all of you, sharing all our good stories with all of you. So
thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.